Hello, and welcome to the English Doctor podcast. Slow is not weak, slow is smart. We've been taught to believe that faster is better. Faster results. Faster success. People carry that same mindset. They want to understand everything instantly. They want to speak fluently in weeks. They want to skip the struggle. But here's the uncomfortable truth. When you rush language learning, you break it. Because language is not just information. It's not something you download. It's something you absorb, and absorption takes time. Think about what happens when you listen to fast English as a beginner. The words blur together. You miss key sounds. You feel lost. And then your mind says, I'm not good at this. But the problem is not your ability. The problem is the speed. Now imagine the same sentence slowed down. Every word is clear. Every sound is separate. Every idea is understandable. Suddenly, you're not confused anymore. You're learning. The power of slow listening, it gives your brain time to process. Time to recognize patterns. Time to connect sounds with meaning. Time to build confidence, and confidence is everything. Because when you understand, control. Here's something most people don't realize. Speed comes from slowness. It sounds strange, but it's true. You cannot understand fast English until you first understand slow English. You cannot speak quickly. Kapoting a house. You don't start with the roof. You start with the foundation. And slow listening is that foundation. But here's where people go wrong. They get impatient. They think this is too easy. This is too slow. This is not helping me improve. So they skip ahead. They jump into advanced content. And suddenly, they understand nothing again. That cycle repeats, and frustration grows. Let's break that cycle. Slow learning is not a sign that you are weak. It's a sign that you are learning correctly. It means you are paying attention. It means you are building deeply. It means you are creating real understanding, not just surface knowledge. And deep learning always looks slow in the beginning. Think about a child learning to speak. They don't rush. They listen slowly. They repeat simple words again. And no one tells them hurry up because everyone understands this process takes time. So why are you rushing yourself? You're not late, you're just in the middle of the process. Here's a powerful shift. Instead of asking, how fast can I learn English? Ask, how well can I understand this moment? Because mastery is built in moments of clarity, not in speed. When you listen slowly, you notice pronunciation. You notice rhythm. You notice how sentences are formed. These small details, so don't ignore them. Don't rush. Pass them. Stay there. Own them, and something incredible will happen. The things that once felt slow will start to feel natural. The sentences that once required effort will start to flow, will start to feel familiar, and then naturally, without forcing it. That's the secret. So slow down, not because you have to, but because it's the smartest thing you can do. Because in a world that is rushing, the person who learns slowly never forgets. Shadowing is the shortcut nobody uses. Let's be honest about something. Most people spend months, even years, learning English. They read books. They watch videos, they memorize vocabulary lists, and still, when it's time to speak, they freeze. Why? Because they train their eyes, but ignore their voice. Here's the truth. Language is not a subject. It's a skill. And skills are not built by watching. They are built by doing. This is where shadowing becomes powerful. Not complicated, not expensive. Just simple and incredibly effective. You listen and you repeat immediately. No overthinking. Just sound and response. At first, it feels uncomfortable. Your tongue doesn't move fast enough. Your pronunciation feels wrong. You fall behind the speaker. You might even think this is too hard. That exact moment, because shadowing forces your brain into a new mode, a mode where you stop analyzing. Think about how you learned your first language. You didn't study grammar rules. You didn't translate in your head. You listened and you copied again and again until it became natural. Shadowing recreates that process, but this time, you are doing it intentionally. And here's why it works so well. When you shadow, you are training three things at once. Your ears to recognize sounds, your brain to process quickly. Your mouth to produce language. Most people train these separately. They listen one day, they speak another day. They study grammar later, but shadowing connects everything. That's why progress feels faster, more noticeable. But here's the part most people miss. Shadowing is not about sounding perfect. It's about building rhythm. It's about copying flow. It's about getting comfortable with the music of English. Because English is not just words. It's emotion, and you can't learn that from reading. You learn it by speaking along with it. Let's go deeper. When you shadow consistently, something begins to change. At first, you struggle to keep up. Then you start catching more words. Without even noticing, you start speaking entire sentences naturally. No translation, no hesitation. No fear. That's the moment you realize you're not just learning English anymore. You're using it. Here's another powerful truth. Shadowing builds confidence faster than anything else. Why? Because you are not guessing what to say. You already have the sentence. You are just practicing how to say it. This removes pressure. It removes fear. It gives you a clear path. And confidence grows from clarity. But like everything powerful, shadowing requires consistency. You can't do it once and expect results. You have to repeat, even when it feels boring, even when you don't feel motivated. Because repetition is what turns effort into habit, and habit is what creates fluency. Let's break a myth. People think I need to understand every word before I speak. Number. Shadowing teaches you this. It pushes you to move forward even without full understanding. And strangely, that's when understanding improves the fastest because your brain adapts. It fills the gaps, it connects patterns. And over time, what once felt impossible becomes automatic. So if you stuck, if you feel like you're learning but not speaking, if you feel like progress is too slow, try this. Stop watching. Start shadowing. Don't just listen passively. Speak. Because the moment you start using your voice is the moment everything changes. Shadowing is not just a technique. It's a transformation. It takes you from a silent learner to an active speaker. And one day you'll press play on a sentence, start repeating it, and realize something incredible. You're not following anymore. Consistency beats motivation. Let's be real for a moment. Motivation feels amazing, but it doesn't last. One day you wake up excited. You say, today I will learn English. I will practice for hours. I will improve fast. And for that day you do. You listen, you repeat. You feel progress. Something changes. You feel tired. And suddenly you do nothing. This is the cycle most people live in. Motivation, then silence. Then inconsistency. They stop. Here's the truth. Motivation is a spark. Consistency is the fire, and only one of them can carry you forward. You will always be starting over. Again, but if you build consistency, you never lose momentum. Now let's change the way you think. You don't need to feel motivated to practice. You need to show up anyway. Even when you don't feel like it. Even when your energy is low. Even when your mind says skip today. Because the days you don't feel like practicing are the days that matter. Because that's when you prove something to yourself. Not that you're perfect, but that you are committed. Think about it. Anyone can practice when they feel excited. But very few people practice when it's difficult. And those few people, consistency is not about doing a lot. It's about doing a little every day. You don't need 2 hours daily. Perfect conditions. You don't need to feel ready. You need 10 minutes of real focus, 10 minutes of listening, 10 minutes of shadowing. Because small effort becomes something powerful. Let's do the math. 10 minutes a week, 70 minutes a week equals 280 minutes a month. That's almost 5 hours of focus practice. Without pressure practice, without pressure. And over time, that becomes transformation. But here's where people go wrong. They aim too big. I'll practice 2 hours every day. Sounds impressive, but it's not sustainable. So after a few days, they stop. And when they stop, they feel like they failed and then they quit completely. Consistency doesn't work like that. It's not about intensity. It's about continuity. Even if you practice for 5 minutes, you win. Even if you only repeat a few sentences, you win. If progress feels slow, you are still moving forward because consistency builds identity. Trying to learn English. Something changes. You start saying, I practice English daily. And then one day, I am someone who speaks English. That identity shift comes from consistency, not motivation. Let's talk about another truth. Consistency is not perfect. You will miss days. You will feel lazy. That's normal. What matters is not never stopping. What matters is always coming back. Miss one day? Come back the next. Miss 2 days? Come back anyway, because the moment you stop returning, that's when progress stops. Consistency is forgiving. It doesn't expect perfection. It expects persistence. Now imagine your future. You didn't depend on motivation. You just showed up, and slowly, your speaking became easier. Your confidence grew. Not in one big moment, but in hundreds of small ones. Quietly. Inspired. Don't wait for the perfect time. Start where you are. Use what you have. Do what you can. Because in the end, it's not the most motivated person who becomes fluent. It's the one who kept going even when they didn't feel like it. You are closer than you think right now. If you're being honest with yourself, it might feel like you're not improving, like you're stuck. Like no matter how much you try, nothing is really changing. But still miss words. You practice, but still hesitate. You try to speak, but still feel unsure. And slowly, a dangerous thought appears. Maybe I'm not good at English. But here's the truth you need to hear. You are not stuck. You are in progress. The problem is not your ability. You can't see your progress. Language learning is different from most things. When you go to the gym, you see your muscles grow. When you earn money, you see the number increase. But with English, the progress is invisible. Every time you understand one more word, every time you repeat without thinking, you are moving forward, even if it doesn't feel like it. Think about this. A few months ago, there were words you didn't understand at all. Now, you recognize them instantly. Now, you understand parts without them. Before, you were afraid to speak. Real progress. But your mind ignores it because it's focused on what's missing, not on what's growing. You compare yourself to others. You see someone speaking fluently. You think they're better than me. I'm too slow. I'll never reach that level. But you don't see their journey. You don't see their struggles. You don't see the hundreds of hours they spent feeling exactly like you do right now. Here's something powerful. Every fluent speaker was once a beginner who felt lost. The difference is they didn't quit. Let's change your perspective. Instead of asking, why am I not fluent yet? Ask, how far have I come? Because progress is not about perfection. It's about direction. Are you practicing? Are you listening? Then you are moving forward, even if it's slow, even if it's not perfect. Here's another truth. Breakthroughs are invisible until they happen. For weeks, nothing feels different without translating. You respond faster than before. You speak without thinking too much, but it's not sudden. It's the result of all the small efforts you made every single day. This is how growth works. It builds quietly, then it reveals itself all at once. So don't underestimate your daily practice. Don't ignore your small wins. Don't tell yourself you're not improving, because you are. Right now, in ways you don't even notice yet. Speaking English naturally, starting conversations without fear, understanding without effort. That version of you is not far away. It's being built every time you listen, every time you try. You don't need a new method. You don't need to start over. You just need to keep going because you are already on the path, already moving. Without warning, you'll realize something incredible. The sentences that once felt difficult, the words that once confused you, the fear that once stopped you. And in that moment, you'll understand you were never as far as you thought. So trust the process, trust your effort, trust your journey. Because the distance between where you are and where you want to be, you are not starting from zero. You are starting from experience, from practice. Keep listening, keep speaking. Because one day you won't say, I'm learning English. You'll say, I've come further than I ever imagined.